Hello, everyone. This is Dave Gu from Husky Shanghai. So I joined Husky since 2010. And since the first day, I'm working on the beverage closure in the Husky organization. So today I'm taking the lead for the closure solutioning for Asia Pacific. And my focus today is to share a little bit on the vision inspection technology on Husky HiCap 4 closure system. Okay, so in case any question, we can review later in the Q&A session. So first of all, before we run into the details on the vision inspection camera configuration, here is a quick overview on how does the HiCap 4 closure system wall cell look like. So as you can see on the screen, typically for a complete wall cell layout, apart from the injection machine and the mold, which is really the critical equipment for the system, there are also quite some downstream equipments that to support to process the closures right after the injection mold. For example, here if you look at the layout, there are multiple downstream equipments, including first the hopper, and then the undermold conveyor, and then we have the cap coolers to cool down the closures after the injection mold. And then we have the feeder conveyors to transfer the closures through the waterfall sorter to orient all the closures and then feed them into the vision inspection system. And then after that, to fulfill the closures into the box shifter. So here I'm highlighting the equipment number item 6. And this is the one that I'm going to share to everyone now. Now that we know that closure is a goalkeeper for the whole product package safety, it really plays an important role for the product safety. And as a high-speed running closure system, it's really important to make sure that all the closures are 100% inspected. And at the end, only the good closures are run into the production line. Okay. So now that if we look at here as an example, right, the closure for 3025 closures, if we look at the 48 cavity system, the hourly output is almost up to 60,000 per hour. And then if we look at the 96 cavity system, it's even more than 115,000 closures per hour. Okay, so it is rather critical that only the good closures are run into the good sample box and then bring to the production line. Okay, so now here is to explain how the 100% inline inspection is working on the Husky HiCap 4 closure system. So this picture basically shows you how does the vision inspection camera is working. That basically provide the comprehensive functionalities to make sure only the good closures is bring into the production line. For example, it includes the inside inspection and then as well outside inspection, okay, and also the 360-degree outside wall inspection, okay, and as well we also inspect the top panel of the closures, okay, and in the meantime there's also an additional function that for the cavity number recognition function. This is also very important, especially when we are running the mass production. In case there's something wrong in the specific cavity, this function will provide the traceability where the mold has the issues. Last but not the least, it's about the pinhole detection. I'm going to share more details in the next few slides. Now it's about here is the typical configuration of the vision inspection camera. Okay, so typically from the right side to the left side, we basically for a comprehensive configuration, there are basically 2 conveyors delivering all the functions that we just mentioned in previous slide. Okay, for example, there are first few cameras, okay, on the conveyor on top of the conveyor A to inspect the closures, okay, from the inside, and then the vertical and also the cavity number reading, like these functions. And after that, there are also a few 3 cameras to inspect the closure outside wall 360 degrees that we just mentioned. So as we just mentioned, we also inspect the closure top panel. So if on the conveyor A, there's no chance for us to inspect the closure top panel on conveyor A. Therefore, we need to start the closures onto the conveyor B so that the camera 3 can detect the top panel of the closures in this case. So this is the typically how does the configuration look like for a vision inspection camera. Just to highlight that at the end, the configuration of these vision inspection cameras is really up to our customers' requirement on the closure inspection. So they could configure the basic one for the inside inspection only, or depends on the requirement. We could also provide the additional field mode cameras to provide all the functions. Okay. Now that we are going to run into the detail of each functions, how do they work? What defects that can be detected from these cameras? Number one is about the inside inspection, and this is the default options. So it typically also the very basic one and the mandatory one that most of our customers, the systems are equipped with this one. So first of all, such a camera for inside inspection, they detect the short shocks on the temper evidence band, or they also detect the defects on the proxil, the ceiling lip here. So as well, if there's some contamination inside the closures, the camera will also detect that and reject the closures as a scrap. And number three, if you look at the closures, there could be some very minor flash on the TB, on top of the TB, at the upstanding direction. Okay, this can be also detected with this inside inspection camera. Last but not the least, if our customers are running the closure with the color, so typically at the initial start, there may be some slight color deviation at the start stage, and this camera will be able to help detect this color deviation and reject these closures from the start to the scrap box. So as mentioned, this inside inspection is really the mandatory and important for the make sure all the inside of the closures have the good quality, as at the end, the inside is the one in touch with the preform net finish to deliver the package safety. Second thing is about the outside inspection. So the first one, we are looking at the purely inside. But if there's some minor, for example, if there's some minor flashes on the in between the TB and the closure shell at this specific corner, then this outside inspection camera will be able to find out these horizontal flashes on the T band. Okay, and also this can cover the size up to 0.3 to 0.5 millimeter. Okay, and in addition, such a outside inspection camera will also be helpful to precisely detect if there's a ovality on the defects on the closures, and then it can also precisely monitor if the closure is in the right size, right diameter, and this can be as precise as up to 0.05 up to 0.15 millimeter in deformation. Okay. Now to the next one is a 360-degree outside wall inspection. So this outside inspection is different from the previous one. This is for the sidewall inspection. And therefore, typically, this is equipped with 3 cameras, and each camera has care of 120 degrees. Therefore, you have the whole circle 360-degree cover by 3 cameras. Okay, and again, such a wall inspection is covering the contamination outside and the color deviation, as well as the high inspection, because these 3 cameras is inspecting the closures from the sidewall. Therefore, it is capable to inspect if the closure height is within a certain range. And last but not the least, if there's some process change or some material contamination leading to the high gate on the injection point, and this outside wall inspection camera is fully capable to reject these high gate samples to the scrap box. So this is the functions provided from the outside wall inspection camera covering 330 degrees. Another one is the top panel inspection, which mentioned that this is on the second conveyor. On the first conveyor, the closure is sitting on the conveyor upside down. The mouth is opening up. Therefore, there's no chance for us to inspect the top panel of the closures. For example, if there's a logo or there's a printing logo, okay? Therefore, we need to have this second conveyor called conveyor B. The closures will be subbed by the vacuum pump, okay? Therefore, the closures can be sticked to the second conveyor, and therefore, the other camera will inspect the closure top panel underneath. And again, this is to inspect the contamination on the top panel, or if there's a color deviation. And for sure, as just mentioned, if you have a printing logo on top of this top panel, and this top panel inspection camera is also able to detect if the printing logo is properly done or not. And the other one, which is a very important function for the traceability of the closure quality, is about the cavity number recognition. So we know that, for example, if we are running a 96 cavity system, in case there's one or a few cavities producing the scrap closures with some defects, with this cavity recognition function, the camera will read the number and do the cavity related statistics to give you a report for those scratch samples from which cavities, and then they raise the alarm to the operators that those specific cavities have something wrong, and easy for us to correct those issues. So this is very important for the quality issue traceability. So when we are talking about all those functions delivered by those fancy cameras, so the principle behind is basically simple. That is pixel-based digital picture comparison, right? So at first, we need to teach the camera, teach the vision system with the quick closures, and then they take those picture of the quick closures as benchmark. And whenever there's some defect comes in the next closures, they compare the pictures at a pixel basis to define if those are scratch samples, and then they will be rejected in this way. Okay, so in fact, it's very simple principle behind, but the key is that how we teach the camera and how is the controlling system define and reject the closures. So last but not the least, for some closures that in case there's some, as mentioned earlier, if there's some process change or material contamination, this may create some pinhole on the top panel of the closures, and this could lead to the product safety issues with some sealing defect. Therefore, we do have the solution that with the sparkle tester, we call a pinhole detection, that they will separate and blow out those bad parts. Okay, so it's basically very gentle handling, and then through the high voltage source. Okay, so in this case, all those closures that are with the micro pinhole on the top panel will be detected and then rejected to the scrap box, and they will never run into the production line. Okay, so here is the basically all the functions about the vision inspection camera. In case you have any questions, we can discuss later on the Q&A sessions. Thank you.